Welcome to the Commissioner's Corner podcast. It is June 28th, and this is episode number 41. As always, we are presented by web3ks.com. Check out web3ks.com for your webpage, social media, and all your other graphics needs for a very affordable price. We are just over halfway through NBL Season 32, and we have one team that is quietly gearing up for a Super Bowl run. We'll take a look at one of the hottest rookies to come into the NBL in quite a long time, and we will dedicate an entire segment of this show talking about Operation Homefront and the NBL second annual EA Access Tournament coming up in August. Bomber, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, well, first of all, it's tournament, not tournament. I got to clear the air with that.
We have this discussion every single time I say that word.
And guys, if you're wondering why Lip is doing this intro so perfectly, he wrote it down. He's cheating.
I write it down. Hey, I'm not afraid.
Do you write it down with a you pencil, like hand write it down, or are you typing?
I etch it into stone.
Oh, okay. So you use the Etch-a-Sketch and you actually write it down. Okay, now I respect it a little bit more.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. I actually spend 3 hours on my intro every week.
Oh, well, in that case, I got some critiques. I'm going to start critiquing Lip's intro. It's going to be a new podcast. It's going to be a short series podcast in which we just go over the downfall of the Commissioner Corner podcast due to the intro that was written down by Lip. You interested in watching that?
I might catch an episode or two.
Okay.
Downfall of Lip heating up.
All right, here we go. Let's go. What do we got? I don't even know the topics. I'm so unprepared per usual.
See?
So fill me in. What's going on here? We're NBL Season 32. We're in Week 11 right now. The Browns just lost. That's right. The Browns were undefeated, and they won the Super Bowl last season, Season 31. Big shout out to Z-Star. By far, he's top 5, but he lost to the New York Jets, 24-21. I know that's not a topic we're probably talking about, but man, I was surprised to see it. The Jets now 9-1. The Browns 9-1. Some nice AFC rivalry brewing over there between these two young teams.
Yeah, and I saw that score today, and I did not like it. I did not pay any mind to it because I'm supportive of my division mates, and our producer here, Bananas, had to take one of my division mates out. So I'm just not pleased about it. But yeah, they are going to meet in the playoffs at some point, I hope, because I want to see that game on NBL Live. I think it'll be a really good game because this one was really close. And I think one in the playoffs will be just as good and entertaining as any other game that we've seen two powerhouse teams playing. But we're not talking about the Jets, and we're certainly not talking about the Browns because we talked about the Browns enough last episode. But we're going to move on to a guy that has come into the NBL, and he's kind of putting his team in a position that, with the downfall of another team, the Chargers, these Oakland Raiders could very well sneak into the playoffs somehow. I don't know if they'll catch the Broncos or not. We'll see how this plays out. But this guy named Sherman Lucas is just tearing up the NBL on the ground right now. This is his first year. He's a rookie in the NBL, just drafted 19th overall in the last draft, and he has run for 742 yards and 7 touchdowns so far on the season. 874 yards from scrimmage. And he is the leading rookie halfback and possibly the rookie of the year for NBL. And Sherman Lucas could really provide some stable ground game for these Raiders to possibly get into the wild card, maybe even win the division and set the Raiders up for a playoff run.
Yeah, you're looking at this rookie Sherman Lucas, and I like where he's from. UT, University of Texas, Longhorn stand-up, 5'10", 206 pounds, 23 years old. He was drafted in the first round, mid to late first-round pick. I think he was selected 20th overall, 23 years old. But he's had some big games recently. You look at Chicago at Oakland, Week 8. He went 14 carries for 131 yards. Then Week 6 at Green Bay in the frigid temperatures of Lambeau Field. He went 17 attempts for 203 yards. He had 3 20-plus carries and 3 touchdowns. This kid's also been coming along well in the passing game. 2 of the last 3 games, he's had over 3 catches, over 30 yards. So they're utilizing him in many ways. He's pretty much been their all-down back. The only thing we're worried about with him is injury. He had a little bit of injury issues at UT, but as a senior, he was flawless, and he did not come out to injury at all that season. That was the only healthy season he has. He hasn't missed a beat here with the Oakland Raiders, so maybe his injury bug is behind him. But I like Sherman Lucas, number 43, for the Oakland Raiders. I don't like the number 43. I've never been a fan of it. I know Darren Sproles was essentially number 43 at one point in his career. And, this guy's not like a Darren Sproles back. I mean, yeah, he's got the 93 speed, but he's pretty much a do-it-all back. Great ball carrier vision, great stiff arm, spin move, juke move. He's a one-cut, three-down back. I absolutely love Sherman Lucas. I don't know if he leads them to a playoff berth, but man, it's going to be exciting to watch down the stretch. And I only say that because the Broncos are 9-1, and making a bubble team a wild card spot. I mean, you got the Browns, Steelers. One of them is taking one of those wild cards, so there's only one available. And maybe they could do it. I mean, it's between Texans, Bills, and Raiders. Maybe Raiders do slip into that wild card spot.
Yeah, and we look at this. We're in week 11 currently, and they play those 3-6 Chargers. It's going to be a tough game, even though the Chargers are having a down year. But Bomber, looking ahead at this schedule, it is brutal. The Raiders are currently 5-4, but they played the Chargers twice, the 6-3 Bills, the 8-1 Vikings, the 9-1 Jets, and the 7-2 Jaguars. That doesn't show a lot of easy games there on this schedule. They're going to have to work extremely hard to get into that conversation, because there's not a whole lot of room for error. Now, what they've done is they actually have a pretty balanced attack here. Now, only 17th in the league with 23 points per game on offense, but their pass and their rush yardage per game is 10th in the NBL. Their offense is 7th overall, so they have this firepower offense. But the big thing for me is you look at the rushing yards on defense, that is 27th in the league. And, I mean, we saw him last night. We saw Melvin Gordon play for those Chargers, and they have to play them twice. So this is it's going to be two matchups of an aging Melvin Gordon, just a little bit, against a team that doesn't really have a run defense. So do you think that there's any, I mean, you've kind of said that you don't really think there's any shot because of the other teams that are in that wild card conversation, but is there any possibility that they even can finish 500 or better with this schedule?
It's a tough schedule. I mean, even you look at the weak points of the schedule, you see the Miami Dolphins, as you stated, they're 4-5. I mean, this is a team that you go into your schedule and you look and you say, okay, I got the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets, you didn't know what you were going to get from them. The Jaguars are so up and down, but all these teams that are kind of on the cusp of being mediocre or way worse in the Dolphins situation, which they have been complete garbage. And we might get a phone call from Pricey later as well. You know, you look at these teams and they're actually good. So the second half of the schedule, which what looked to be somewhat difficult because you always got two Charger matchups left, and then you have a Vikings game left, but outside of that, maybe throw the Jets in, it was a 3-3 kind of finish, right? But now, as far as tough teams and over 500 teams, you had 3 below, 3 over, is what you thought coming in. And now I'm thinking all these teams are playing phenomenal. And the Dolphins being 4-5, that's pretty much over 500 for them. I mean, to them, if you grade on a curve, that's like being 8-2 right now. The Buffalo Bills are having a good year. They're 6-3. The Vikings are 8-1. The Jets are 9-1. I mean, we just went over this. Jaguars 7-2. This is going to be a test for the Oakland Raiders. They will either pass it with flying colors or they will miserably fall to the bottom of their division. I think they got an opportunity here because of this new established run game. I think there's an opportunity here for the Oakland Raiders to kind of make a run, and they would be one of the hottest teams in the NBL if they made the playoffs going through this schedule in the second half of the season.
Absolutely. If they take, you made a great point there whenever you talk about teams that you didn't really think would have such a great winning record. And here they are, and it's a brutal remaining schedule. Like you said, the Broncos are 9-1. The Raiders sit at second in their division at 5-4. Then the Chiefs are 4-6, and the Chargers are 3-6. Those Chargers and Raiders play this week, and then they have another matchup down the stretch. So we're going to keep an eye on the Raiders and watch how that plays out, whether or not they are a legitimate team and can push into the playoffs. But now we're moving on to a team that absolutely is making the playoffs, and they're not just making the playoffs. They may take the #1 seed in the NFC, and that is this powerhouse team that nobody's talking about. It's the Seattle Seahawks, and we've talked about this team before. A lot of players on this roster have championship experience, but Derek Bradford is just destroying everybody in this league on the ground with 916 yards, 9 touchdowns for the 9-1 Seahawks. So, Bummer, I'm not sure if you've got to play the Seahawks yet, but we had a matchup with them a couple weeks ago, and they just never quit. They were never out of the game, and they just kept grinding even through any mistakes, any errors, anything that came their way. And they just find ways to win. And at 9-1, it's really an impressive team that I did not have on the radar coming into the season.
Well, if you didn't have the Seahawks on the radar, I don't know who you had on the radar. They're always in the playoffs. They're always in the hunt. Now, if your radar means a top 5 team to win the Super Bowl, they're still not there for me just yet. I know they're 9-1 and they're having a spectacular first half, 3/4 of the season done, or should I say probably 3/5 of the season done right now. But I mean, just look at who they play. They still have a tough schedule left. We've seen Seattle win a big game against Pittsburgh, and that's probably where your bias is coming from. This team actually goes on the road for 4 games in a row, and they've won all 3 of them so far. They're going to finish it off against Cincinnati. But I want to show you, outside of Pittsburgh, I want to show you the last 4 teams, the 4 teams that they're facing right now, and then the 5th team will be the Ravens. We're talking Niners, Cardinals, Rams, Bengals, then Ravens. I don't know. I mean, they played the Giants, who are a pretty formidable team in the NFC, and they lost 41-20. They beat the heck out of the Rams. They beat the heck out of the Redskins. They were in a really tight game against the Saints team that started 0-3 to start the season. And then they beat up on the Cardinals and beat up on the Eagles. Have they really played anybody? We'll know how good they are when they play the Browns, and then week 16 they play the Lions. And maybe even week 15 versus the Cowboys, you get a little pushback. But this has been a pretty cupcake schedule outside of the fact that they've had to play the Giants, Steelers, Browns, and Lions. And they ended up squeaking by the Steelers in what I believe was kind of a, as you said it, maybe overlooking, maybe a little trap game for you.
Well, I mean, you look at this team, and on offense, they put up 30 points a game. They're middle of the road at 16th in passing, but that rushing attack, that's kind of the reason why I think they may have been overlooked a little bit. You know, a lot of teams, the scary teams, I think, can pass. And whenever you're not like a dominant passing team, sometimes you get overlooked a little bit. But the rushing is absolutely a real thing. Bradford, like I said, almost 1,000 yards already in week 11, 9 touchdowns on the ground. But my big question is, whenever you pointed out that they haven't really played that tough schedule that you look at and you're like, wow, that's an impressive 9-1. It's not. It's a good point that it's not that impressive of a 9-1. And then you look at the defensive stats: 15th against the pass, 12th against the rush, 17 points a game, which is 6th in the league. But the yardage there kind of worries me, because whenever you play those teams, like you said, those Giants, when they can punch it into the end zone, that's where you get your big problems at, right?
Yeah, and you're looking at those defensive stats, they should be actually higher. I mean, 15th against the pass, 12th against the run. Now tell me where the Eagles, Cardinals, Niners, Cardinals again, Rams again, Bengals, tell me where those teams match up offensively. I guarantee they're not 12th or 15th in the league, but their defense is giving up those kind of numbers. I think this should be a top 5 defensive team if they were as good as their 9-1 record shows. And I'm saying that to say this: they've played teams that are at bottom 10, but their defense ranks somewhere in the middle, to 10 to 15. That just, to me, doesn't show the dominance of the schedule they've had. They've had a cupcake schedule. They got a 9-1 record. But as you said, when you dig deeper and look at the stats, I mean, even their offense are 16th passing yards against teams that struggle against the pass. I would think I would see a little bit more consistency there from Deshaun Kaiser. And you just haven't seen it this year, as they went with him over Russell Wilson. Yeah,
and we're going to watch that because, like I said, this team they got a couple games down the stretch that are pretty tough. We might see them on NBL Live. But we're going to watch, because right now they're sitting at 9-1. Top of the NFC. They've got the Lions and the Browns coming up on their schedule. Those are going to be some interesting games. And then we're going to get to see how this team plays out. Like we said, we expect a little bit better numbers on the defensive side of the ball. But you know, that's just one of those things. If their rushing attack can take them to a championship, why not? It's happened before. So we'll just keep an eye on that and watch and see what's going on with those Seattle Seahawks. But real quick, we're heading into the last segment on our show. Get your questions into the chat for the Crossfire segment. Bananas is going to be pulling them out of the chat and sending those over to us so that we can talk about your questions at the end of the show. This last segment is just a little bit to talk about what's coming up in the NBL. It's really an exciting time, and I wanted to give Balmer a little bit of time to talk about this. And it's this EA Access tournament, but it's the working with Operation Homefront to raise money. And I heard something last night that we already have over $1,000 raised for this organization that I think is an extremely impressive thing. And we have so much going on for this tournament. It's a big tournament. I probably keep annoying Bomber at the Way State tournament, but that's not going to change. So Bomber, how excited are you to see this tournament again this year, and the growth that we've gone from the first tournament from last year to now this year in just a month?
Okay, so you're done now in just a month?
I am done.
So we're ending it? Okay.
In just a month.
All right, so last year we decided we wanted to run a tournament. I talked with OSU and Lip about doing something to give back to the community and give the community an opportunity to kind of, I think of it like a celebration to the release of Madden, but I didn't want to do it at the release of Madden because I know so many leagues are doing so many things, and I don't want them to take away from them trying to, build their league or having to deal with that. They're trying to set up their formula for how they're going to approach this new Madden, and they might have it already laid out now, and I don't want to interfere with their current schedule, what they have. I know that's how we run, so you got to respect that part of it. And I said, man, the EA Access time would be a great time because a lot of people are just looking to play quick games. Now, if we did a tournament then, it would also be cool to see people because they haven't had a chance to really lab the game as much, and it kind of could create a wild card sense of feel in the tournament. So originally it was like, let's just do a tournament, give back to the community, give away some prizes. I think last year we gave around close to $1,000 in prizes as well. Last year we did some 12-hour streams. I thought it was a great way to bring the community in. Luigi ended up winning the tournament. He will be back this year, and we'll make sure we accept him back into the tournament on those first acceptance emails that come out July 7th. And if you're in the NBL, I hate to break it to you, but your acceptance email, if you do get in, isn't going to come till the very end. Hey guys, that's just what's going to happen here. Since we're hosting the tournament, we want to make sure we get everybody else in and then fill in the other spots when needed based upon availability and the ability to stream and the flexibility in your schedule as well. So the first acceptance emails will come out July 7th, and every week from there, July 7th, July 14th, July 21st, every week after that, we're going to bring in about 10 to 12 guys until we fill the tournament up with our full 64 player roster. It's going to be phenomenal. But let's talk a little bit about Operation Homefront. So we went into that first one. We just tried to lay the ground game for essentially running a tournament, and we did it pretty flawlessly. I usually try to find errors that we make and try to correct them, but man, the tournament last year, and Lip can probably attest to that, we had about 12 guys on hand. We had some runners in the tournament. If you don't know what the term runner means, you will in the tournament this year, and if you do, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. We had all hands on deck. It was a phenomenal time. We had a 12-hour stream that started the day one of EA Access. It will start this day one of EA Access on August 2nd as well. And I think this tournament, we decided on the second annual one, let's bring in some charity and do this for a real cause and make this something phenomenal that has not been done, and something to show that this community can raise money together and be a part of something bigger and better than just connected franchise mode or Madden releasing. And that's why we team with Operation Homefront. They do a great job helping our veterans. And you can go to operationhomefront.org and check them out. It's just phenomenal stuff. We're actually meeting with them on Monday. This Monday, OSU has a conference call with them where we are hoping, now I'm not sure this is actually what's going to exactly happen, but something to this sort, where we would have a web page, hopefully on their server, in which you would go there and donate to them through us. There's going to be multiple ways to donate. Right now, we've raised actually $1,200 from our sponsors, just our sponsors alone. We're also going to be selling EA Access, NBL EA Access Tournament t-shirts, limited edition through Came From Nothing Clothing. They're going to have a webpage up as well, where 50% of the cost of that t-shirt, so if the t-shirts are $28, $30, $15 of your purchase is going straight to Operation Homefront as a donation as well. So we're utilizing other outlets to donate back to our charity as well. And it's a phenomenal program. I checked them out, operationhomefront.org, and Came From Nothing Clothing. Big shout out to SERP. They're going to be donating those proceeds to Operation Homefront from the t-shirts order. So when you buy a t-shirt, you're actually donating as well. And the t-shirts look really cool. You've seen the mock t-shirts on at NBL Network. I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anything. Bananas is actually going to come out with a video updating us about tournament information, what's going on. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors and make sure I don't miss any of them. Fusion Wine Bar, Hurdle Tax and Accounting, Dynasty League, Daddy Leagues, and Dynasty has been phenomenal. I've seen their video. They have over 340 views on the video, in which experts talking about what we're doing here with the Operation Homefront and the EA Access tournament. It's going to be funny. It's fun. It's a one-game elimination tournament. We'll start bringing people into the GroupMe chat, as I said, on July 7th. is when the applications come in. Yeah. So July 7th, and then we'll slowly start bringing people in, and we'll explain everything. We'll have updated videos on what's going on, how to contribute, how to get involved. Over $1,000 in prizes. First place gets in signed Saquon Barkley New York Giants helmet. And what else am I missing? Oh, we got some other sponsors that I can't confirm 100% yet. But man, it's going to be big deals when we do actually confirm them. They're looking to bring in some big time donations and some big time opportunities for you guys, the people that are in the tournament, to win some cool free stuff. Man, I'm really excited about it, and we'll be announcing those names, and it's big time names. It just makes sense when we're talking Madden football and we're talking streaming. These two companies are going to come in here and make a huge difference in our tournament as well, being sponsors. Also, I don't want to forget anything while I have the mic here. Yeah, so the tournament starts August 2nd. We'll do a 12-hour stream like we normally do. The 12-hour stream will consist of first round, second round matchups for the EA Access tournament with OSU. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great time. We'll even have some Dynasty guys jump on and talk. All right, so I've done my soliloquy, so what's up?
I mean, absolutely. Like last year, I think we started it at around noon, and we went a little bit past midnight. And it was so much fun because you have OSU running the whole thing. And so many people jump in and call games. We get to see the game. We get to see people match up against each other. But like you talked about this year, it's for a really good cause, and that's something that we're all excited about. And another thing is, like you said, with Dynasty coming on board, it's just a cool thing to work together with other leagues to just do something that's a little bit more than Madden, a little bit more than what we enjoy to do with video games and stuff. So I'm really excited to see it. I'm excited to watch the entertainment that is OSU. Just getting through a 12-hour stream. It's so much fun, and I'm so excited for everybody to be involved.
We're gonna have a nice break though. Let me cut you off real quick. I want to insert this. Expert's gonna jump on for a couple hours during that stream, and he brings a ton of energy. So we'll find that little sweet spot where OSU just kind of hits that little. I don't want to call it a rookie wall. He's not a rookie on this, but he hits that little wall throughout the middle of the day, and then Expert's going to come on and give us a little bit more energy and keep us going. So we got a lot of guys coming on. Hopefully we can get some developers on. Hopefully we can get some Madden guys on, some community guys on to sit there and talk. It's going to be a 12-hour stream, and we want to keep it action-packed, fun, and enjoyable to listen and watch. And I think that's what we'll hopefully accomplish. Now let's get on to the what we got for the Crossfire. Unless you want to finish what you were doing, I did cut you off.
No, and the other thing is, like you said, there's secret possible things that are going to come out. Those are going to be huge, and I'm really excited to see how those play out with everybody. But that's all I have. Bomber did a great job there talking about this tournament, talking about Operation Homefront. Very excited for that to kick off. I cannot wait. So we're going to move on into the Crossfire, and the first question is, are the Broncos for real this year? And that's a big question because the Broncos have had some pretty impressive wins. They beat the Chargers in week 1. They beat the Bills, who were 6-3. They beat the Jets, who are 9-1. They're actually putting together a pretty decent season, and then they also beat the Lions by a touchdown. The 8-2 Detroit Lions.
Fake news. Nah, the Denver Broncos, and this was a crazy game. I was up 7 in the fourth quarter. I was in field goal range. And honestly, I felt like I had complete control of the game. I think I was on the 30-yard line. I stepped up with Aaron Rodgers. I was about to drill it about 15 yards down the middle of the field, and he had a guy on a spy that was sitting about 3 yards off the line of scrimmage, and he picked me. And then at that point, I immediately go, I completely underestimated this team the entire game, and now I'm going to have to pay for it. And he drove down the field, executed precisely like a person of a 7-1 record or 6-1, whatever he had at the time, should do, and he scored. And I said, oh crap. And then he stopped me. His defense is really good. And then he stopped me. He got the ball back, and I go, he's going to score again. And he drove all the way down, and I think there was like 40 seconds left. And it was actually a point where, him scoring wasn't the worst kind of deal because then I got the ball back. And basically he scored, and I got the ball back 40 seconds. I drove down to the 5-yard line, and I threw it into the end zone, and it got picked off. But it was really it wasn't like a game where you look at a guy and you go, wow, that team should not be this record. I shouldn't have lost to them. It was more of I completely went in there thinking one thing about this team, and this is a really, really good football team with a good game plan and scheme, both defensively and offensively. And I give them a lot of credit. They went out and won that game, and they had to do it by coming back against me in a game where momentum wasn't shifting one way or another. They didn't get it. I can't look and say, wow, they got some lucky breaks. No, I say, man, they played a strong game. They stayed inside of their game plan, and they look great. Julius Stewart looked good. Devontae Freeman looked good. Ed Abali caught a big touchdown pass over the top. This team has a lot of weapons, and they're really, really dangerous. And most importantly, they're a balanced attack. They got 10 passing touchdowns, 11 rushing touchdowns, and their defense has just been out of this world as far as giving up points. They don't give up a lot of points.
Yeah, and they play the Colts next week. They got a win over the Bears this week. They play the 8-1 Vikings. They've got 2 matchups against the Chiefs, 1 matchup against the Chargers, the Patriots. Going to be an interesting, to see how they finish out the season. I think that I don't want to say it's in the bag, but I think that they have a favorable enough schedule that they're going to be able to hold on to this division title. The Chargers are they're pretty much out of it. The Raiders, we talked about their schedule. It's not very friendly at all. This schedule for the Broncos is much more friendly. So I think that the Broncos are going to win the division. So I would absolutely have to say they are for real, because we've talked about how the AFC West is such a good division. So that's it. The Broncos are definitely for real. Next question. What team do you see being the worst during the 5-year sim? It's kind of tough. There's a couple of teams that don't really have, I've been on this for a long time, and I honestly think it is going to be the Chargers, because I think that they're a very old roster. Their defense is pretty old. Obviously Melvin Gordon's old. The offensive line is the one thing. The offensive and defensive line is the one thing that could carry them to wins during that period, but it's all about what's going to happen with Carson Wentz, what the computer's going to do with him. So like I said, I've been on the Chargers aging for a long time. We're kind of seeing it happen over the last 2 seasons. So I think that's the team for me that I think will do the worst, that will surprise people.
Oh man, that's a tough question. For me, it's so many factors that play into this. I'm just looking at teams with older rosters, and I do see the Los Angeles Chargers as being a team that, they're older. Keenan Allen, Jarvis Landry, Melvin Gordon, Carson Wentz. These are guys that aren't really playing in the prime of their career, and Carson Wentz has not really lived up to expectation there for the Los Angeles Chargers. You're looking at the other side at the NFC. I just don't see a ton of teams that really have that, where you go, oh, I just don't know if they're going to really last, as they don't have the youth right now. And man, I'd have to say the Chargers. Teams do bad. I really have optimism about a lot of teams right now, because a lot of guys have good drafted guys that just aren't putting it together, and maybe during the 5-year sim they do. But heck, maybe the Chargers make a big-time trade. We're going to turn on computer trades and let them go crazy during the 5-year sim. Maybe the Chargers wheel and deal themselves into some kind of miraculous return, and they trade some players.
Yeah, and that trade element of the sim is going to be extremely entertaining to watch, and we're going to get to see it all happen live on that stream. So there's going to be some big moves made. I'm just excited to see what's going on. So the next question, what offensive or defensive player on another team would you swap out for one of your starters? And this is an incredibly easy question for me to answer. For last season and this season, season 31 and season 32, I have been rolling with complete nobodies at halfback. Last year I had Amir Abdullah, and this year I'm bouncing around between 2 guys, and I can't tell you their names because they don't make any impact at all. I'm still trying to figure out how to get them more involved, and it has been frustrating for the last 2 years. So I would have to go with Bryant Vance from the Titans, and possibly Sherman Lucas from the Raiders. Those 2 guys are very impressive at the halfback position, and that's a big need that my team needs. So I would definitely swap out one of those guys that I can't even remember because they make so little of an impact on me, for one of those amazing halfbacks from the AFC.
Yeah. Speaking of halfbacks in Pittsburgh, you're talking about a team that has 3 rushing touchdowns to 22 passing touchdowns. I've never seen that kind of. I've ran for little yards, but I always have to punch it in. When I get inside. The fact that you're passing so well and you still can't run in. That's definitely a need right there. And from Amir Abdullah, you thought the only way to go is up, right? And then, it just seems like you got a young player. But Beason's averaging 6.1 yards per carry, just only 1 touchdown. So there's still a lot of opportunities left for that young
we
fella.
gave the ball 21 times to Anton Priester, who only got 62 yards. It is a struggle running the ball right now, and I know it looks weird, but we've been trying so many different things, and we just can't figure it out.
All right, so the guy that I would take, I'd take Daniel Shirley, and he could have Aaron Rodgers, because Daniel Shirley has 97 throw power, 92 short, 91 medium, 82 deep, and he's a 78 speed. He's got 85 play action, 86 throw on the run, 94 overall. He's only 27 years old. Yeah, give me the 6'6", 231-pound former first overall pick Daniel Shirley. I'd swap him out right now. I know it would probably take 3 games to get that stench off him, maybe longer. But that would be a guy I would take right off the bat offensively for my team. What do you guys think? Who would you guys take? Who would you guys be? I know somebody's going to say Harvey Beckham. I figure that's going to come out, and if they don't, they probably should. But trust me, dude, you would just ruin him. You would just ruin him. Let's see what the chat's saying right now about that.
Unisolated knew that you were going to say that.
Unisolated says, I knew Bomber was going to say Shirley. Well, yeah, it's also a way for me to take a little dig at you for not doing what you should with the guy with the strong arm, 6'6". Oh, Daniel Shirley. He will be a blessing on the Detroit Lions. Defensively, I like this guy that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have, but I'm going to check how old he is right now. His last name's Wynn. I know that for a fact because I absolutely love that last name. He's a cornerback. Let's see if I can find him here. His name is Lawrence Wynn. He's got 96 speed, 95 excel. His agility's 92. He's 6'3", 26 years old, 88 overall, 80 man coverage, 80 zone, 87 play rec, 82 press. Former, I think, 3rd pick in the 1st round. And this guy, man, out of Auburn University, I was really high on him. Plus, I like his last name's Wynn, and that's what we're trying to do. Lawrence Wynn. Yeah, 96 speed lip, 95 excel, 92 agility, 94 jumping. He's 6'3", 206 pounds. I mean, that's just a phenomenal athlete at the cornerback position, and I would like to have him
on
speed defense. And you could take
6'3" frame.
Hey, look, I'll give him Tease Tabor. That's my best corner right now. But he's just slow, but he's still good.
Okay, so Unisolated says, Bomber, I'll trade you Shirley for HB18. So I'll ask this question. If we get into the 5-year sim and you see that your Detroit Lions have traded HB18 for Daniel Shirley, how would you react? Would you be excited? Because the quarterback position
No, I'd be upset because
according
to Clint Oldenburg, he says that this true accuracy thing is only used in simulations. Well, my backup rookie quarterback, Jared Brucey, who's learning right now under Aaron Rodgers, 6'5", 235, late 1st round pick, he's got 94 throw accuracy. So if simulations only require throw accuracy and they don't look at short, medium, or deep, then I'll be fine with Jared Brucey and his 92 throw power. We won't need them, but I mean, if I'm using them, I definitely wouldn't want the lefty Jared Brucey, and I definitely would rather give up Aaron Rodgers. I'd give Aaron Rodgers and Brucey probably for Daniel Shirley, you know, if we could do that. But yeah, I wouldn't give up Harvey Beckham. I mean, even though I got Tank Beekman, who if you look at the news feed, they always say something about his attitude. So I think he thinks he should be the man, you know. He probably would take a big contract and leave me, but yeah, man, I don't think I'd trade Harvey Beckham. I mean, I already got his look what I got up. If you guys go to his page, just look at his greens. I got his run block up to 60. His impact block is 89. We're doing some damage on blocking right now in the final season of his career.
5'8", 147 pounds.
Yeah, and his impact blocking is 89. It's pretty crazy. There's really nothing else I can really put into that isn't like crazy amount of numbers. Like trucking and elusiveness is like 12 grand a piece. I think trucking's like 20. But stiff arm 92, juke move 99, spin move 98, ball carrier vision 99, carrying 95, catching 99, spec catch 99, catching traffic 99, route running 98, release 98. And when things get to 98, Lip, I'm always hesitant just to go to 99 because I always will get that +1 by week 7. So, I mean, I wouldn't even be able to use him if I just put things to 99 on him. So,
yeah.
Harvey Beckham, you will be missed. I still believe Matt Hopkins is probably, oh man, you know my feelings for Matt Hopkins. Matt Hopkins was 5'8", but he did this. Matt Hopkins is from Madden. What was he
did?
Madden?
He did one really terrible thing.
Yeah, he fumbled for me in the Super Bowl, costing me the Super Bowl, and he never won a Super Bowl. But Matt Hopkins was like, oh man, he stayed healthy though, and he was a little engine that could. He once caught the ball and just demonically crawled across the field after he caught it. He was like on all fours, and he got like another 8 yards. and I was like, man, this guy's got some heart. But yeah, enough talking about Harvey Beckham. So what else we got on the
All right, last
docket?
question we're going to take. Any overrated teams in playoff position? Currently, it looks like the 5-4 Redskins may sneak into the playoffs, which would be my overrated team because we've talked about it for almost an entire cycle. In 6 more weeks, it's going to be an entire cycle that we've talked about these Redskins having absolutely no identity. We have no idea who they are, where they came from, or where they're going. And if they're sitting at the 6th seed in the playoffs, that's they shouldn't be there at all. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to go underrated. And I'm going to pick those Bills because nobody really talks about the Bills. They're 6-3. I think I heard somebody talking last night. I think it was on Highly Debatable talking about, it might have been NBA Live, talking about the Bills. They have such a bright future, but it's just never played out. But I think this might be the year, and nobody's going to pay attention to them. So that's kind of my overrated and underrated teams. I kind of added another element to that question.
Yeah, I agree with you. Even on your other element that you added, it's Bills, Redskins, and even if the Falcons
How good
are
are
at
those
6,
Bills, though?
I think the Falcons would be there. Well, I don't know. They're 6-3, but we don't talk about them too much, and I just don't think they're that good. You think they're good?
Oh, defensively, I think they're one of the better defensive teams.
We'll say they're defensively great. Now let's look at who they played. Now I haven't looked at the schedule. I'm looking right now.
Currently,
I mean, they got beat week 1 34-0, so they must have had an easy schedule recently. They played the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Redskins, and the Patriots. I mean, do you want to look at teams that struggle to score? Patriots, Cowboys, Dolphins, Redskins. I'd like to know what they are doing offensively that probably drives up the Buffalo Bills defensive numbers. Let's start with the Patriots. The Patriots are currently 24th in points scored. What are the Dolphins? Dolphins are currently 30th in points scored. And what was the other team? Redskins?
Yes.
Redskins are currently 20th in points scored. What was the other team? There was one more team that the Bills had recently just played.
Was it the Patriots?
I already looked at the Patriots. They're 24th. It was the Cowboys. The Cowboys are currently 26, I think. Yeah, 26.
So this would be
20, 24, 26.
Overrated team.
Yeah, I think they're overrated. Oh, I thought the question was overrated.
It was, but I added another element to it. I picked an overrated, and then I threw in an underrated because.
Yeah, well, you think the Bills are underrated. I think they're overrated. I just read the offense that they just played, the last 4, 20, 24, 26, and 30th. And then they have a top 2 defense in points scored. I'm not buying it just yet. All right, so what is that it? Is that where we're at? As Josh gets in the chat, NBL Bob's in here, a.k.a. Mr. 1-9, feeling fine, playing the Lions next week. Oh, I can't wait, baby. Oh, I can't wait. The base of that neck, I'm going to be slapping it.
I thought that the Bears had wasn't it a 1 touchdown loss to the Lions in the previous matchup?
Was it 1 touchdown loss?
I feel like I saw Bob say that in the chat.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I was up 21 with like 2.5, 3 minutes left, and he scored. And then I think it was like 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. He had scored and made it a 14-point game. Then he kicked it to me. He burned all his timeouts, got the ball back, and scored again with like 6 seconds left in the game. And
hey, that's
a one score.
Win.
And then I told him at the end, I said, at least you're not delusional enough to tweet that this was a 1-score loss. And so then he tweeted that it was a 1-score loss, of course. I should have never said that, but he did, which it was kind of funny. But yeah, that's the truth. You just got exposed, NBL Bob. Homer Hanky in the chat saying, Bomber hammering those Bills. Yeah. Hey, big shout out to Homer Hanky. He bought a $4 TV and then had the nerve to play his NBL game on it. That's just that's too risky business for me. I'm big into latency. I just don't see how a $4 TV is going to give me that response time that I need when I'm playing a Madden game. But he went and took the risk.
There has to be something wrong. Like $40 I could understand, but 4?
Yeah,
that's too risky.
I'd rather just hang on to that TV.
I'm afraid it's gonna catch on fire when I'm like not at my house or something.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. $4, it just sounds like it has some kind of, there's something demonic about that TV. There's some bad juju with that TV. For $4 for a 32-inch HD TV, yeah, I'll pass.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. We're wrapping up the show here. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 41 of the Commissioner Corner podcast. We covered the Raiders, the Seahawks, and Operation Homefront with the EA Access tournament that's coming up in August. For my co-host, Balmer, and Bananas pulling the strings behind the scenes tonight, thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night.